Did you think that your current Pro 5, Visual Pro 5 or BBJ business application could never deliver graphical management information like this? Well, think again. Basis's new digital dashboard utility delivers huge value to any business, and best of all, delivering it requires very little development effort on your part. Welcome to this Java break. My name is Nico Spence. I'm the Chairman and CEO of Basis International, and today we'll be covering adding the new dashboard utility to your business application. Let's look at our agenda. Firstly, we'll discuss what the new dashboard utility is. We'll talk about how you can use it, and then we'll show you the code. In the invitation to this Java break, we said that you just need a few lines of code. We'll show you those few lines of code. And we're going to do it with data from a spreadsheet and data from an mkeyed data file without any data dictionary. We'll then have a look at how you could embed the widget or the dashboard into your BBJ application. And then we'll take your questions. Let's get started. It is often challenging to deliver tangible new features and benefits to existing applications. This is particularly true when trying to empower users with flexibility and doing it for an attractive value. In other words, not having too much development time and effort to produce the result. Well, the good news is when we released version 14 of BBJ and add-on software, it also marked the release of a game-changing new feature, the digital dashboard. The response from our development communities and from business owners and executives looking for data in an easily digestible form for decision-making has been overwhelmingly positive. So what is the new dashboard utility? Much more than just pretty charting, the Basis widgets are powerful tools for owners and business managers to help them make better business decisions based on their data, empowering these users to save, email, and refresh graphical data automatically and selecting which widgets appear and in which order. This BBJ utility is already integrated into both Barista and add-on software and can be added to legacy versions of your BBX solutions as well. But rather than have me talk about it, let me hand over to Nick Decker to show you an example of the dashboard in action inside of add-on software.
Add-on's new dashboard feature offers a quick and easy way to view your company's performance data in real time. The dashboard is a customizable collection of grids, charts, reports, and more that are generated from the add-on database tables. One quick look at the summary charts gives you visibility and insight into your accounts and business as a whole. And the statistical comparisons between customizable timeframes offers immediate feedback and performance measurement. Let's take a quick look at a sample dashboard that has two tabs, one for accounting and the other for sales. The grid widget displays a comparison of GL income account totals for 2014 and 2013. It's a fully functional grid, so you can sort by columns and scroll to see all of the data. Next up is an income and expense overview for last year. If the chart is too small to see easily, or you just want to get a better look, pop it out of the dashboard for a higher resolution version. The widget tool buttons also allow you to save the chart's image or email it to a friend. Many widgets also support refreshing so that you can get the latest data for every query. The next widget covers income comparisons based off of user-selectable accounts and timeframes. By selecting different filter values, we can change the way that we gather and view data, further illustrating the flexibility of the dashboard. The bank account widget offers links at the bottom to open up our bank's website in a new tab. Or it could even launch another BBJ program or an add-on module. The Sales tab demonstrates how we can embed a fully functional BBJasper report into our dashboard, complete with the ability to zoom in and out, navigate through pages, and even save the report to Google Docs. You can choose the types and numbers of widgets to display in the dashboard, and you can even hide one from view by clicking on the Close button on the widget. The remainder of the widgets readjust their positions automatically to make use of the newly available space. To add an available widget, click on the Customize button. Scroll through the list of available widgets, Then click on Add to place the desired widget in the dashboard. To reposition a widget, select the title bar and drag the widget into the desired position. Letting go of the mouse button drops the widget in place, and the other widgets shuffle themselves about to make room. We're pretty excited about the new add-on dashboard and hope that you are too after getting a quick look at what it's capable of.
Thanks, Nick. So as we've seen, it's a set of real-time charting widgets. It allows you to visualize your BBJ, Pro5, Visual Pro5, spreadsheet, and JDBC or ODBC data. You can add it to your legacy BBX solution, and it empowers your users to save those charts, email them, and set the refresh settings for each widget. And they can select which widgets should appear and which order they should appear in. Now that you have an idea of what the dashboards can do, and before we cover how to add this powerful feature to your existing apps, you probably want to know what it costs. Well, more good news. If you're current with SAM, you just have to install BBJ 14. It's included with BBJ 14 for no cost. It's another free BBJ building block utility to enhance your business solution. Remember, since this is BBJ code, it's also capable of running in the browser. You can run your dashboards in the browser user interface, or BUI. For more about BUI, I invite you to check out the last Basis Advantage magazine, BUI Everywhere issue, available now at basis.com. Of course, after this Java break, we'd invite you to try this for yourself from www.basis.com. Simply go to the BBX Web Showcase and then scroll down to the dashboard demos and view the demos on your favorite mobile device. So what else does the new dashboard utility offer? Of course, all of these things are built in. The widget types that are available to you. Again, the demos will show you a plethora of widget types. It gives you automatic sizing and positioning. It handles the refreshing for you, the filtering, so you can add filters. You can also add links. Those links may be links to other BBJ programs. And of course, you can embed these dashboards in your own BBJ code. And finally, it offers the end user the ability to select which widgets they wish to view. So this BBJ utility to graphically display business data relies on data that's going to be queried, generally via SQL or stored procedure. You can also use built-in stored procedures. The two built-in stored procedures that come with BBJ are the CSV, or comma-separated value text file, or mkeyed, vkeyed, xkeyed files. Just by providing a string template and the physical location of the data file, you'll get an automatic built-in stored procedure. No need for a data dictionary. Well, enough about talking about what the digital dashboards can do. Let's have a look at the code. We're going to have a look at the code used to generate this report, sales by sales rep, for 3 sales reps for the period January through to April. So how much code is required, you might ask? Well, there it is. Very little code indeed. This full page is all that you require to create that report we've just seen. So we're going to show you how to implement it, how to create a dashboard and add a chart widget. We're going to do it in 2 ways. One with a standard BBJ program with legacy type syntax, and then secondly we'll do it in the object-oriented style. Both of these are going to use the getResultSet CSV store procedure and a data file name. Let me hand you back to Nick Decker to take you through the process and explain the code required.
So you've heard about Basis's new dashboard utility, and you want to give it a try. But you've probably got a few questions, like, what do I have to do to get started? Will I have to write a lot of code? How do I tie it into my data? The best way to answer those questions is to do just that. Write a BBJ program that utilizes the dashboard. We can write some code to create a dashboard, and we'll build some widgets from a couple of different data file formats: a comma-separated value, or a CSV text file, and an mkeyed file. Before we load up the IDE and start writing code, let's get an overview of how to write a simple program that builds a dashboard. The flowchart gives us a good idea of what the design process entails. We'll start off by creating a dashboard object, then we'll create a dashboard category. That's basically a tab within the dashboard that contains related widgets. This part's pretty easy. We can accomplish both of those tasks in just 2 lines of code. The next part is where it starts to get interesting. We'll create widgets that are built from our data. We can choose from a number of different types of widgets, but for this example, we'll look at bar charts, grids, and pie charts. After creating our widgets, 2 more lines of code is all that we need to create the dashboard window and to display it. Now that we have a better understanding of the process, let's take a sneak peek at the end result, just so that we have a better and more complete idea of where we're heading with this exercise. Here's what our first dashboard program will look like when we run it in GUI. Dashboards are all about visualizing your data, so we should probably take a minute and look at a couple of different ways that we can query our data. For this example, we'll take advantage of BBJ's built-in stored procedures, or SPROCs, to create the data for our widgets. The built-in SPROCs allow us to execute SQL queries against both a CSV text file and a standalone data file. That means that we have the power to leverage the SQL language. We can filter, order, and even group our data without any need for an underlying database. So let's start by taking a look at our data in a numbers spreadsheet. All of the popular spreadsheet programs offer export capabilities, so we'll take advantage of that feature and export our data into a CSV file. CSV files don't have any formatting, so if we take a look at it in a text editor, it's kind of a mess compared to our original spreadsheet. We don't have to fret though, as the BBJ result set SPROCs are here to help. We'll call the getResultSetCSV stored procedure and provide 3 parameters: the location of the CSV file, a string template that describes the data in the file, and the record terminator character. So let's take this for a spin in Enterprise Manager. After executing the line of code, we can see exactly what our data looks like. Our CSV file contains a couple more columns of data for the sales representative's commission rate and amount. For our first bar chart, though, we're going to focus on the monthly sales for each sales rep. Therefore, we'll only need to grab the first 3 columns of data from the CSV file. We're also focusing on how each sales rep has performed for each month, so we'll do a select from the result of the SPROC and modify the order of the columns in our return result set. So now that we've figured out how to execute SQL queries against a simple text file that we got from our spreadsheet, we're ready to build our dashboard. Let's take a look at the finished program, as it's pretty short. The program starts off with use statements that reference the dashboard utility classes. The next couple of lines of code create a new dashboard and adds a category to it, just like we hinted at when we were looking at the flowchart. We provide a couple of strings when we create these objects. The first is a key so that we can get to that object by name later on if we wish, and the second is the title that will be displayed to the user. Now the fun begins as we create our first widget. Similar to creating a native BBJ bar chart, the dashboard widgets take several parameters so that you can get a fully functional chart up and running by calling a method and passing in those parameters. We'll start by defining the parameters for our bar chart widget. We'll define the unique name of the widget, the title, and we can even specify titles for the chart's domain and range axis. We're going to be filling up the bar chart widget with the same SQL statement that we saw earlier in Enterprise Manager. So we'll define strings that hold the connection information and an SQL query. The connection information just connects to the BBJ sys database, so it can take advantage of the built-in SPROCs. Once that's done, we execute the add bar chart dashboard widget method on our dashboard category object, passing in all of the parameters. Our widget is now complete, so all that's left is to create the dashboard window and display it modally. Now we can run the program and admire our results. The bar chart in our dashboard looks great, and it does a much better job of telling us how our sales reps are performing for the year compared to our spreadsheet or our CSV file, doesn't it? That's just one way to write a dashboard program, though. Since you can program in a number of different ways in BBJ, we can accomplish the same thing using object-oriented programming. Most of the code is the same, but this time we've built a custom sales dashboard class that takes care of all the details, so that our main program just has to instantiate the class and tell it to display. Remember the part in the flowchart where it asked if we wanted to create more widgets? Let's do that now, but this time we'll grab our data from an mkeep file. We'll still use SQL to create our result set, but this time we'll import the entire file into a grid widget. Many of the parameters can remain the same, so this time we'll create our grid widget by adding just 4 more lines of code to our original program. We'll give it a unique name, Then we'll modify the SQL statement slightly to use the getResultSet sproc instead of the one that accesses a CSV file. The method for adding a grid is simpler, so we can add our grid widget to the same dashboard category in less code. Let's run the program and see what we've got. Looks pretty good. We've talked about how powerful SQL can be, so let's capitalize on that and create a pie chart widget that compares all of the sales reps for their year-to-date sales. Again, we had just 4 lines of code and we're ready to test out our new widget. This time, we modified the SQL query to report on the sales rep and the sum of their sales for the year. And we've grouped the data by the sales rep so that we end up with a total sales figure for each person. Let's run it one more time to admire our handiwork. Excellent, just what we wanted to see. So that's all there is to getting a dashboard program up and running. By now, we should have a good idea of what it takes to get started with the dashboard. We know that it doesn't take a lot of code to build some nice looking widgets, and it's pretty easy to tie into your data, regardless of the format.
Thanks, Nick. Of course, you can also get your data from Pro5 or Visual Pro 5. You would run your server-side BBJ code for the dashboard, and you could view the results in a browser via a URL, which you could harvest or launch from your Visual Pro 5 or your Pro 5 app, but you could also just run it from your favorite web browser. And you can access the Pro 5 or Visual Pro 5 data either through the Pro 5 data server or via the shared file access. Shared file access is when you have few BBJ users, perhaps just as digital dashboard users, that are going to use the same locking mechanism as Pro 5 on the server. So some great choices there for you to be able to implement digital dashboards even with code that may not be in BBJ. So dashboards are flexible, and one other point is you can embed them. You can put dashboards on your GUI window, BBJ GUI window. You can add just a category, in other words the tab, or you can add a specific widget to a form that you might already have written in BBJ. So you can add that to a new or existing BBJ program. And we have an example of embedding an entire dashboard into a BBJ program. Let me hand over to Nick to see that in action.
The dashboard isn't just limited to add-on software. It's also a standalone utility that can be used in numerous ways to gather and report on your data. Here's an example that demonstrates the various chart types displaying browser stats for the last few years. In addition to running the dashboard in its own window, the utility offers enough flexibility that you can embed a dashboard category, or a dashboard widget into a new or existing BBJ program. The syntax is easy, and you can embed a dashboard object that you create from scratch, or even one from an existing dashboard program via a called interface. Here's an example of a BBX program that embeds an entire dashboard into the app. The top part of the app allows you to select a dashboard to embed and a color theme to apply to the widgets. The dashboard comes with over 80 color themes, so you can select one of the existing themes or easily create your own. When I select a color theme, the program sets the colors for each widget and calls a refresh method. This gives you a basic idea of how your app can interact with an embedded dashboard object. The dashboard is also highly customizable via CSS, with dozens of components defined with selectors that you can control. By modifying some of the CSS and changing the colors when building the charts, we can dramatically affect the presentation of the dashboard. Finally, the dashboard is flexible enough to report on just about anything. Here's an example where we've exported some of our Google Analytics data to comma-separated value files. We can then create line charts, pie charts, and grids that import and display the data. This is done via the Basis database's built-in stored procedure, which imports the comma-separated value file data in a single SQL statement, allowing you to easily select columns to view, filter data, and even control the grouping and sorting of your data.
Thanks, Nick. So think about utilizing CSS to improve the look of your digital dashboard for your mobile devices or browser-based devices. So why should you use it? Here's a great quote from Harvard Business Review. Not a week goes by without us publishing something here at HBR about the value of data in business. Big data, small data, internal, external, experimental, observational. Everywhere we look, information is being captured, quantified, and used to make business decisions. So the better we're able to view that data, the better we're able to make good business decisions. Another quote from Harvard Business Review. Companies are vacuuming up data to make better decisions about everything from product development and advertising to hiring. In their 2012 feature on big data, Andrew McAfee and Eric Brynjolfsson described the opportunity and report that companies in the top third of their industry in the use of data-driven decision-making were, on average, 5% more productive and 6% more profitable than their competitors, even after accounting for several confounding factors. This shouldn't come as a surprise, argues McAfee in a pair of recent posts. Data and algorithms have a tendency to outperform human intuition in a wide variety of circumstances. So present that data to your business owners, to your decision makers, and they will have a chance of being more profitable and more productive by making better decisions. So it's time for you to revitalize your business application and add the digital dashboard to your solution. It's part of the basis building block strategy. Digital dashboard for your apps, another tangible example of Basis's building block strategy for adding value to your apps. Some further references. There's a nice Advantage article that talks about the built-in SQL access to Basis keyed and CSV files. So I'd encourage you to look at that. And of course, a good reminder, the digital dashboard utility is fully integrated into Barista. So you get the role-based security by widget or by tab or category. And of course, it's built into add-on software. So we'd encourage you to look at those, if not for anything else, but to see examples of what can be done with the digital dashboard. So in summary today, we've covered more information about the new dashboard utility, shown you how you can use it. We've looked at the code, looked at how few lines of code you need to add a new dashboard. We've also incorporated data from a spreadsheet and then data from an mkeyed file without any data dictionary. And we've finally shown you how you could embed a widget or a dashboard or a category of widgets into your existing GUI application.